Margie, from time to time, you've talked about the basic estate planning mistakes that people make. Could you expound on that a little bit for me and kind of explain a little bit of what that is and maybe the common issues that people have?
Yeah, thank you. So one of the common things that I see when people come in to see me about estate planning and talk about their documents is that they've often waited too long.
Sure.
They're waiting until something happens, which, as we know in life, many times will lead us to things being much more expensive, way more involved. There's a lot more paperwork, things like that. So we also lose the opportunity to have a lot more options when we wait too long. So, in my realm of estate planning, we'll find that people waiting have someone who is unfortunately incapacitated, an incompetent type of situation. Maybe we literally are not sure how much time we have left, and that can lead us to a point where our options are limited. And as we know in life, with what a lot of people do when we talk to different professions, the longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to be.
Sure. Are there any other common mistakes that people have as they embark on this journey?
Yeah, so another common thing that I will find that folks will do is try to do things on their own. I usually will talk to people and say, look, I may know something is making a noise on my car. I don't know how to fix it. So I'll go talk to somebody that can help me with that, a mechanic. And similarly with what I do, sometimes people don't see the value in even having the time from me to talk to them about what needs done. But, that time often clients come in is tremendous to help them, rather than trying to Google things, trying to download things. We find that those steps lead people down a path that, again, like I just said, will be a lot of times more expensive because
Sure.
they've made mistakes, done things that they didn't need to do. And, dealing with a lot of times an elderly crowd for estate planning, that's when people usually think about these things. I'll find that people are just so nervous and scared. They've never been to an attorney before. So I think they're trying to make it better for themselves. Their kids are helping them download things. They're Googling things.
Sure.
But many times they don't really know what they're looking for, what they're doing. So, talking to me, I've had people literally walk out and say, wow, I was losing sleep over this, and
Sure.
I'm so happy I came to talk to you because, I feel peace of mind. This was a lot simpler and less expensive than I thought it was going to be. So that's another common thing I would say, stay away from just trying to do it on your own.
Absolutely. Working with a professional really does make things easier and probably less intimidating, even as long as you can get over that first initial hump. So
Yes, exactly.
So that being said, is there anything else that is a typical common mistake that might happen as people are looking at planning for their elderly parents or even themselves?
So many times people sitting down put the whole process off because of another common problem, which is that people aren't honest with themselves about what the situation is. And by that I mean not only within themselves as to maybe what their health is, but also their family situations. It's very hard for us to confront problems that we have, to acknowledge that we have issues maybe with our children,
Sure.
within our immediate family. So people put it off. And not only putting it off, but coming to that table literally to talk about it. They don't want to face that fact that maybe they have an estranged child, or I see a lot of people that have children that, have been maybe through some addiction issues and things like that. They're embarrassed to talk about it.
Sure.
So it leads them to just not deal with it at all. We'll just procrastinate and not do anything at all. So that is a very common problem. And I think coming to talk to somebody, again, rather than just looking something up on the internet, I know what questions to ask. I bring those things out because I can usually tell very early on with a meeting if somebody's got something like that going
Right.
on. They'll be sitting there kind of looking at each other like there's something unsaid they don't really want to bring out. And, what I usually tell people is, obviously this is a judgment-free area.
Right.
We're talking just generally about your family, and believe me, most times people do have something going on within their family, but it's important to bring that out to make sure we get the right people named on your documents and the right situation set up.
Sure. And if I can add, I know that in my dealings with you, you're not intimidating. You make it easier. If people are kind of concerned about that or embarrassed or whatever, working with somebody like you, Margie, can make it that much easier. And again, you're easy to talk to and can make it work for them. So
Yes.
Thank you very much for all that.
Yeah. One other thing I would like to mention is that, making sure that we keep up on things because of the things
Sure.
we've just been talking about. People think it's a one and done, put it away, don't ever look at it
Absolutely,
again.
yeah.
And I think just like with a lot of things we have in our lives, any kind of paperwork kind of stuff we may have to deal with, being able to review it every few years just to make sure that if some of these family situations have changed, our situation, our health situation has changed, our assets have changed. We want to make sure that we stay current on that and keep our estate planning and all of that paperwork updated along with whatever is going on.
Sure. To that point, is there a rule of thumb as to how often someone might want to talk to you, or is it more like the life change thing, or what can you add there?
I usually tell people every 3 to 5 years. I mean, that's not a legal rule for
Right,
sure,
right.
but that's a good time to stop and kind of review things, because I have found in the over 20 years I've been doing this that that is a good time frame that things seem to usually change and things happen. And while we're not worried so much about maybe an address change or something like that,
Right.
Somebody unfortunately passes away, somebody moves, they themselves have health problems or have some other kind of situation going on. It just helps us to find those situations. And a lot of times people don't look at this stuff all the time. Obviously, it's not a very exciting thing to be pulling out and rereading.
Right.
So we forget that we have certain people even named on documents that, we'll say, oh, wow, I forgot I have that person. They moved cross country. Probably not the best choice maybe to be taking care of things for me now. So I usually say every 3 to 5 years or so.
Okay. To that point, Margie, a quick question I have is, when children end up leaving the home, when a child leaves the home, whether it's going to college or for good, moving out on their own, is that a particular time to get some of these documents together, or is that a time to meet with someone like yourself?
Yeah, so actually that's a great question, because not only for the parents' documents, that may be a good time to review things. Maybe we've put stipulations in place because the child was
Sure.
young and a minor. Now they're old enough. We can update to maybe include them on our documents to handle things. We don't need to have them have a guardian anymore. They're of age, and maybe we can handle it. Now that's not for everybody. Some
Right.
people's children, we may need to wait a little longer. But on the other end of it too, for that child, once they're 18, I get a lot of folks that will come in and see me to add like a basic power of attorney or some of the simple estate planning documents for that child. Now they're an adult, there's different things to consider legally that you have to plan for that you didn't have to plan for when they were a minor.
Sure. Totally makes sense. So thanks for answering that for me as well.
For sure.